Thank you for staying with us. The federal government Safe School Initiative is a multi-billion-naira project and is meant to protect students, teachers, and school environment, especially those that are prone to attacks. As good as this initiative of the federal government is, what about implementation? And is it really addressing the problem of insecurity in and around our school? That's the very big question this morning. And the one to answer that question, of course, is Mr. Jide Ologun. Is a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Fortunately, he was at one point or the other also served Nigeria as a police officer. So when it comes to security, he will be able to give us certain details regarding this federal government Safe School initiative. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
Each time we mount Safe School initiative in this country, I marvel because of the frequency of attacks that I've seen in and around our schools. You recall recently that of Kebbi State, Niger State. And the question for you this morning is, kindly give us an overview of what the Safe School initiative is all about, and how well are we faring when it comes to the implementation of this multi-billion-naira project?
Thank you very much. The Safe School initiative was born in 2014 after the
Chibok incident
of the Chibok girls by the United Nations and the government and some private enterprise concerns to ensure safety for the schools, the students, the teachers, and the facilities. And there was a seed fund of $10 million that was released, which was upgraded to about $30 million. And between year 2023 and 2026, the federal government has committed about 144 billion naira. And that takes us to the next concern you have raised. How far have we implemented? I think a recent evaluation of that project by the National Assembly revealed corruption, mismanagement, and high level of unseriousness. And I will just summarize all this in our being negative in prioritizing issues in the country. So the total perspective is that I doubt if education is held as important in this country. I doubt if Section 14, subsection 2 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended is important to the government of Nigeria. And what it says is that the security and the welfare of the citizens shall be the primary purpose of government. And I doubt if the government is willing to fight corruption, because Section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended states clearly that the state shall abolish corrupt practices and abuse of office. Because if there are findings now of misappropriation and then corruption, then who will be held responsible by the law? And these are questions that we have not been able to answer in the country, because it has come to the limelight now because of the embarrassing insecurity manifestations that we had recently. Otherwise, no one would have read, in fact, some would not have heard that there was a Safe School initiative that ever took place. And you can imagine the amount of money that has gone into it. So it's a serious challenge for the government. And that is why when Donald Trump was pointing his spotlight on Nigeria, particularly on insecurity, even when he tagged it as genocide against Christians, many were quick to respond. Oh, he's after this, because there are culprits who will want to cover their atrocities. So you heard some people who were sponsors of terrorism quickly reacting. But America is not peddling down on the intention to see Nigeria secure. And I pray that the Nigerian government will leverage on this opportunity of partnership. And for those who were wondering, what's Donald Trump's business? Within the platform of the United Nations, yes, there is a leverage for international organizations to be interested in fighting terrorism in any country, except Nigeria is now claiming there's no terrorism in the country. But even if Nigeria is claiming there's no terrorism in Nigeria, the symptoms are clear. It's just a function of a dictionary interpretation. And since that came up, a lot of revelations have been prompted in Nigeria. And American government is saying, we know some of them. Reportedly, governors are involved, some governors, some judges, some law enforcement agents. And even before now, Dubai identified 6 sponsors of Boko Haram in Nigeria, arrested them, investigated, prosecuted, and jailed all. 2 to life imprisonment, 4 to, I think, 10 years imprisonment. And named some citizens of this country, even if they were not named. As a chief superintendent of police, I'll let you know that every crime leaves a footprint, which means those who were convicted in Dubai, you could track their financial transactions. Some banks are involved also. And trace who were involved, who were not involved, and go after them. But then, in Nigeria here, our former minister, federal minister, Chief Lai Mohammed, disclosed to the world, it's documented, that they have identified about 400 sponsors of Boko Haram. I don't know where they are, whether they are spirit or ghost, because we are yet to know them. Even though recently, our president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, Ajwa Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I understand, has threatened to name the sponsors. So, which brings us to a conclusion that they are known to the government. They are known to the government.
Okay. This recent probe by members of the National Assembly, of course, the committee is chaired by Senator Orji Uzor Kalu. If we had not witnessed what we experienced in Kebbi and Niger states, the committee had been dormant for a while. And so the noise they are making now, is it necessary, or would it just be another flash in the pan? Because people are crying that, okay, students are being kidnapped, teachers were killed in some of the schools that were attacked.
It may be just who we are. And you know, in this excellent studio, I've made reference to cases, one of which was when the case of Betaidu was trending. And I said that I knew that shortly another thing will happen that will cover this up. And here we are now. Many Nigerians would have forgotten the scandal that happened in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. It's the same thing. I mentioned it. If not that some girls are kidnapped or America is focusing on Nigeria, who would have heard? Many Nigerians would not have even heard about one Safe School initiative, talk less of the $40 million involved and the 144 billion naira. So, and now when you begin, even if National Assembly probes further, it may end up with off your mic because I can let you know, as a student of criminology, that some crimes cannot be perpetrated single-handedly. So there will be high-profile networking. So when they say, oh yeah, come and account, you call Oga, the Oga, they've invited me to account too. So, and that is, you recall, when the president of Senate,
the NDDC,
was invited to come and account for the NDDC spendings, he collected the microphone and started pointing to some of them who collected contracts. And at the end of the day, they told him to off his mic, you know, and that was the end of it. So that is the cartel we talk about in crime, and is still very much around. As we speak now, the National Assembly also is concerned about 17 trillion naira that has been expended, reportedly, by NNPCL on pipeline surveillance. So we just have this crisis of corruption everywhere, and somebody will wake up one day and say there is no corruption in Nigeria. You know? But
okay, from your security experience over the years, ideally, what should a safe school environment look like, irrespective of the location?
Safe school environment, you need to train even the staff on responding. Then intelligence is involved. For instance, in the case of the Kebbi kidnapping, even that of
Niger.
Yes, that the military who were on ground were withdrawn. So, and the new Minister of Defense has promised to investigate who gave that order.
For the withdrawal.
Exactly. The same thing happened when the Dapchi kidnapping took place. So, and that is the internal compromise. Then, these schools are expected to be fenced. If you notice, in America, even when crises like this happen, shortly, you find that footages are being obtained from CCTV cameras. But even the CCTV camera project in Abuja that got billions of naira, are they functioning? You saw when the train was attacked between Kaduna and Abuja. Amechi, who was the Minister of Transportation then, came out to lament that his request for surveillance equipment on that track was frustrated by bureaucratic intervention. So these are issues. To train the people how to respond, gather intelligence, and secure the physical infrastructure. You see? But here we are. All these things are not available. And now the lapses that have landed us in this embarrassment is exposing the governance abuse that we have in the country. You know, and this CCTV of a thing can help us. For instance, there was a robbery that took place in Ikeja some months ago. Fortunately, the man did not die, but the CCTV captured the guy who was shooting, obviously, an ex-convict who returned to crime, and he was eventually apprehended. So we need to invest in security. You know, some of us, and apart from that, you talk of the non-kinetic. You know, when you talk about the non-kinetic, the kinetic, it is dealing with them physically. Exactly. But non-kinetic is what Sheikh Gumi came up to mention, that you need to collaborate, look at the causes, you know, collaborate with the communities and see how you can attack the ideological approach and things like that. Because when the former president of Nigeria, Muhammad Buhari, got to office, you recall his first statement. He said Boko Haram had been technically defeated. And if you don't defeat the ideological foundation, you know, and that's what Sheikh Gumi is saying now, that you may not be able to deal with this situation except you start dealing with some other factors. And I agree with that. Because the Boko Haram we talk about that has now graduated to Islamic State of West Africa, and ISIS is interested and things like that, started around 2000 in Maiduguri in Borno State through Muhammad Yusuf, who said Western education, he came up with that ideology, that Western education is corruption and that you must resist Western education. So that is the Boko Haram book. And imagine that you could not even spell book very well. Book forbidden. You see? And it was a nice one for him. Because when you don't educate the mind in the direction of development and productivity, that mind is being structured for destruction. And that's what you are saying now. You see? And this thing started in 2009. He was taken out, you know, kinetically, and full-blown violence came from that group. And recently, we got a report, which may be disturbing, that they are likely to even be more equipped than state operators. And that points us to the direction of the sponsorship. And again, the 19 governors in the northern part of the country met recently. Yeah. They even proposed that mining activities be suspended. So the illegal mining going on in Nigeria is another fountain of insecurity, because those who invest in that illegal mining, they need foot soldiers to distract people from that community, cover up the atrocities. And these things are known to the government. Does that lay credence to what former President Olusegun Obasanjo said recently, that the insecurity problem is an industry on its own? Chief Olusegun Obasanjo did not need to say that. It's known to everyone. I just told you one. You see, there are many things to discuss from the angle of security. Let me point out one. At a time in this country, the concern was to ban flies across the airspace of Zamfara. Some foreigners, in collusion with Nigerians, mine our resources, ferry them abroad. Who are those stealing our oil? At a time, Honorable Dele Alake, and I'm sure he is likely to have been thinking aloud, said that powerful people are behind illegal mining. It's documented. We call it content analysis. So the question is, who are these powerful people? And they make a lot of money. The gold deposit in Zamfara can earn Zamfara, say, $2 billion annually, if properly managed. So let's even assume that the resources in the country are within the exclusive legislative list, which means they are under the control of the federal government. Let's even assume the federal government maximizes these resources and gives the money to the state. I have argued that Nigeria is so rich in terms of resources that we should not work for more than 3 days in a week if we have the right leaders who will maximize what we have. And these things are research driven. The total population of the world is about 8.2 billion. The total population of Africa within that is about 1.5 billion. Africa has 40% of the whole resources of the world. Nigeria has about 70% of the resources of Africa. So why should anyone be talking about poverty in Africa, in Nigeria? So some people have cornered these resources and they delight in shedding blood. And from what I have said, from what we have documented, they are known to the government.
And so why is the government afraid? That's on one side. Then for those schools in the northern part of the country that are prone to attacks, what can the federal government do quickly to restore confidence? We all know that the number of out-of-school children in those part of the country is quite much. And these attacks will discourage people from sending their children to school.
Let me talk about the north, because I'm very familiar with that terrain. My sister, Victoria Edafio Ni Ologun, was a principal in Augi Girls' School in Augi. Augi is far inside of Argungu in South Koto. I was there. They used to beg children to go to school in the north. Beg them with food, pay for their exams, buy uniform for them, beg them with everything. So it's a region that is reluctant to educate. And that is why it was an easy attack for Muhammad Yusuf to start that ideological war there. So those who really educate their children are the enlightened ones. And again, they do not have the interest of the society. They can send their children to the best schools in the world, and they are comfortable. I'm talking of some of them, maybe not all of them, you know. They are comfortable with being next to God, Rankadede. I'm familiar. So you see a house where there are like 5 sitting rooms, and you see old men who are older than these young men who are rich, sitting in the front of their houses, hailing them. They feed them. So they don't allow development to come to the people, but to themselves. And the symptoms are here now. I did a research recently, and I'm challenging anybody watching us now to go and do the same research. The 10th poorest state in Nigeria, only Ebonyi is from the south. It is led by South Koto State with almost 80% poverty rating. And yet, I think out of about 16 slots or so, or 19 slots of leadership in Nigeria, the northern leaders have occupied more than the southern leaders. So when they started talking recently about marginalization, you know, I just thought to myself that, do they really understand English language? You see, so you find a country where some are so selfish, they don't mind if the country sinks. And I'm talking of something because we've come to the point where we amplify the truth. We've been saying it. We are talking of insecurity. In a country that we have about 370 or 378 policemen and over 378,000 and over 100,000 attached to VIPs and things, you can see the battle now. The National Assembly is now confronting the president. And the president is insisting that no. And the recommendation of the UN is to have one police to about 450 citizens. So these are different crises. So the elite should be prepared. If this government, under the leadership of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is ready to respect the Constitution and restore security to this land, he will need to step on many shoulders. That's the truth. Because the security architecture of the country has been hijacked by the high and mighty. But they have the money. Let them go and recruit some of their thugs who fight, who snatch boxes for them during elections. Train them. Apply for ammunition for them. And the president is very kind to say you can go in the direction of NS,
Civil Defense Corps.
Exactly. And that, again, was a baby of 1967 during the Civil War, you know, created in Lagos just to sensitize the people, and it was eventually adopted to the national architecture because as at that time, Lagos was the capital of Nigeria. So they also are trained. So now, security has become a concern to everyone.
In respect of
because before, the people you were addressing to secure Nigeria, they were super secured. But now, let's all be exposed.
Okay, Mr. Ologun, as we wrap up this conversation now, what should be the approach? Should this safe school initiative be left alone to the federal government? What can states and local government also do to complement the effort of the federal government?
Yes, I believe in that collaboration. That is the way to go. Even the Sustainable Development Goals has the partnership element of it. But you see, if we don't deal with corruption in this nation, corruption will deal with everyone.
It's already dealing with us.
Look at what happened. Look at what happened, the local government autonomy. How autonomous. Even though Supreme Court pronounced, have we been able to implement? You see, so unless, and let me speak to corruption. You have 73 billion naira in your bank account, and you die leaving the money. Was the money ever for you? Human beings should wake up and ask themselves, what is my basic need in life? Can I go to a restaurant now and say, serve me rice of 600,000 naira?
That would be madness.
They should go and profile my brain. How many cars will I drive? How many clothes will you? You build houses all around. In London now, they are searching for people who own some houses that are abandoned. So what is your need in this world? And permit me to roll out this adage. Anywhere you see a madman, he is surrounded by various things he does not need because he cannot take his eyes off it. Nigerian leaders, identify your basic need. My God, according to Psalms 23, we supply all your needs.
Go right now.
But the moment you start driving into greed, you are your own. God is not with you. If we focus on our needs in this country, there shall be prosperity.
All right.
And I throw that challenge to leadership.
What a way to end the conversation this morning. Some frank talk coming from Mr. Jide Ologun, lawyer and public affairs analyst on the federal government's Safe School initiative. And he suggested that the federal government as well as the local government can collaborate for us to address the problem of insecurity in and around our schools. We'll take a very short break now. When we come back, it will be the time for Conversation Lagos on the program. Do stay with us.
The views expressed on this program do not represent that of the producer, management of Lagos Television, or the Lagos State Government. They remain the perspectives of those expressing them. Thank you for staying with Lagos Television.